Okay, so remember that I made a video right before the invasion even happened. It was not even a thing. And I said, what if they threw a war and nobody came? That's a quote from literature. Okay, you get that feeling because the politics and it's all a show, and you have a feeling that it's all a show, but at the same time you think that would it be advantageous or brilliant if Putin maybe showed up NATO and didn't invade, or and like what if he just trolled and made them look, he just exposed them and was like another cog in the wheel, and then bam, then you know what I mean, then he shown proved to be a career, and when you thought that, you know what I'm saying. So it still is, what if they threw a war and nobody showed up, but they're hitting us with this evil only prevails when good people do nothing. The only thing is, if you use that argument, then you have to enlist and you have to go to Ukraine. And I'm sure you won't have a second thought about the fact about Russia being bogged down, and it's not a cauldron. They're not merging cauldrons and cutting off and getting ready to set up. The reason they set up humanitarian channels is because when some of the citizens escape through those humanitarian channels, some of the soldiers leaves with them. So they're just being shrewd and allowing for some of the fighting force to evacuate with, okay, it's not because they have a good heart or anything like that. It's because they're being shrewd, right? But they are still setting up this cauldron. So like, if you're not evacuating with the citizens, right, saying, fuck this, I'm trying to get out of here, then you're on your way over there. Then I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying, then I'm probably just trying to spoil your fun. It's really not cauldrons, and they it's not cauldrons, and I mean, you don't have any question about that, because I'm just trying to besmirch your opinion and ruin your fun. I'm a hater. So there's no concern for that. Then you should have no problem enlisting them to tell me that evil's going to prevail if you do nothing. And I know there's a lot of people that are going over there and signing up, and because they're saying that, and maybe those people mean well, and maybe they're being misled too. But go on and do it though, because I don't want to listen to anybody telling me that evil's going to prevail because good men do nothing, right? Because I can't argue with that it's not warmongering. You're not warmongering. I can't argue with that. So I'm trounced. I'm trounced. So if I'm trounced, then go on and get up out of here then. You know, you don't want evil to win. There's no chance of a cauldron being that the strategy is to throw a lot of men bodies and machines into the theater to form the beginning of a cauldron, then incrementally build up, and they're fortifying, they're garrisoning, they're fortifying, they're digging in. Okay, this is not the strategy, right? And obviously, you know, they could be hit from, there is a risk to this strategy. They could be attacked from the back, right? But when they send you in, right, do you know that that's what the plan is going to be, is to attack from the back? Or are they going to send you in because your body count as a Westerner is worth more than the bodies that they're willing to throw at a problem because they have a different ethos about wars? Why do you know what I mean? They have a different ethos about body counts. You can get a high body count from the enemy and still lose, and there's a optics thing going on. So they'll be like, they'll insert you into their crisis situation to face annihilation. If they face annihilation, they have a buffer zone. Why the fuck wouldn't they not do that? It's not because they're racist that they didn't let Indians and Africans evacuate on the trains. They let animals go. It's not because, and it's not even because they're racist. It's because everybody is being as shrewd as they possibly could be. Sometimes it might work to the benefit, and sometimes it may be a plight or a plague or a bother or something. Plus, they're going to make sure that you're fully equipped with breastplates and you can go there with no weapon, and they'll make sure that you got a full mag and a kit and all that stuff. Because I'm not looking at any correspondence coming out of that situation. I'm just hearing this shit filtrated down through the fake news. So go on. You don't have to worry about nothing. That could have been an actor. Yeah, I know. But I mean, you can't imagine that there's nobody like that. So he's trying to, it wasn't like barracks got blown up on either side of the poor bastard, right? That came back and said this shit, because there wasn't just an attack on that base that we all know about where the barracks got exploded with all the Western recruits and shit. I mean, they might not have been there, or they might not have been at that location, or maybe they're gonna get hit, but they don't tell you. You just don't know. You just don't know. It's not, what I mean? If you focus, if you know where something is gonna happen, there's no way you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? The video in Mariupol that you're watching, the live video feed, is looped. Like, it's obvious because you could see the fog that goes by, and then it'll blip, and then it'll be back. But that's where you're supposed. If that's where you're supposed to be looking, it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be on the up and up for you. It's not possible, because they know that's where you're looking. If that's where you're supposed to be looking, it's okay for there to be a distraction when everybody else is looking at a dumb chat room. Because that's where they can be collecting data on you and shit. How to figure out your beliefs, and how to agitate, and how to help them how to fuck you up even more, like how to get you riled up and shit. You make me think the sky's falling. Like, all that stuff willed to them. Like, we give them all the ammunition. You want to find out how to appeal what represents innocence to you, so they can the equivalent of kicking babies over a wall, induce hysteria, mass hysteria, because they want to take them from the mind control, and you fell into your human form into history and to the folly of humanity. You fell into that. So they have to model that whole situation to really apprehend your collective conscious and wean us off the nip slip, right? Like the drill instructor. They build you up to tear you down, or tear you down to build you up. They teach you how to fuck, since you play with your food. You won't kill, you'll play with your food. You know what I mean? So they teach you how to fuck. That's why the drill sergeant has tits. He weaned you off his breast, like in Bronx Samson, if you know what I'm talking about. He was like a dolphin or something, like a pink dolphin. When he took the mescaline and they threw up and shit, and then he was with his drill. Because the people who make the Adult Swim shows are like what's it called? They're like psychoanalyst geniuses and shit. But I mean, that was relevant because see how people are walking into this mass ritual. The mass ritual is dox yourself on Facebook Meta before the infrastructure for the metaverse is unveiled. You know what I mean? And it's going to be Microsoft. It's going to be on Microsoft. Bill Gates, not Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg going to take your data. Then there'll be a pretty technocratic cast class, on the virtual space. And you will be doxed yourself and denied yourself from that. Where even anybody, you have to because you'll be using platforms that are not what's it called, permissioned and off-chain, pinned down by off-chain cold storage and shit like that. I'm not just talking about crypto. I'm talking about the metaverse, because it's the same infrastructure build out. And like, you can complain about Putin fucking going to Bitcoin, but we're we're pushing Putin into Bitcoin. So how you can complain about he might use Bitcoin? Do you know what I mean? Like, that is just so, we don't have intellectual equals. They're not intellectually equal. I'm not saying don't push him into Bitcoin. I'm just saying, how could you complain about that when you are? Like, he's not gonna make good decisions. He's gonna let us down, but at the same time, fucking with the Ukraine is like, trying to bog down Putin is the whole point. Like, we were trying to get him to go in and get bogged down. And that's why we come up with these marvelous ideas like putting a no-fly zone and peacekeeping forces in there, because we have the best intentions in the world for keeping people safe and mitigating the risk of suffering and death. Really. That's why it's not gonna be. That's you know what I mean? It's not a cauldron. Don't let me ruin your fun. Don't let me besmirch your opinion. There's no thing for you to worry about, since for evil to win, the good man has to do nothing, and you're telling me that, then there's no way that you would be standing here. You're in line with your rucksack, and you have a thermal blanket and a toothbrush and everything, and you're ready for that already. Because, just talking to me and shit, that's all talk. It's not about that life at all. You don't have anything to worry about, Like, all those troops that Putin sent over, it's just like the Azov brigade told us. It's a good thing that there are a bunch of goofies, because it's there that way. Otherwise, you would be in trouble, right? So it's safe. They made it safe to go over there. You know what I mean? And then, every time Bayraktar blows up some Russians or something, you're trolling me. You know what I mean? Because that just blows me away that the Russians would lose forces, that they wouldn't throw bodies and machines into, like, they're throwing their outdated 1970s tanks with less armor. You know what I mean? That doesn't sound like something a nice guy. If I'm supposed to love Putin and everything, I'm sure glad not to be in his army, because they don't give you nobody is sending anybody out there with any protection on either side. They want political capital in any form that will come to them. Crisis is a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like, having the optics of an American base in Poland get carpet bombed by Iskander cruise missiles because they're in range is the reason why we're considering sending them over there. So it almost makes you believe that it's going to happen, except for the fact that I predicted it so exactly that maybe it won't happen. Because then I'll be wrong, and then I'll feel so sheepish because nobody died. I'd rather take that risk and never know about it than have to take a credit for it. I don't even want to know that I did anything to stop it. That's just arrogant to think you could stop it. And all the caring, citizen, concerned people that want to have foresight and don't like precarious situations and being left out in limbo to be wasted by some congressman or something like that. You're trying to spoil my good time. You know what I mean? Nah. There's gonna be if you expediently found some purpose or something that you can try to mitigate that from happening. Maybe you have to be considered a traitor by your brethren. Maybe they have to feel like you betray. Because other than that, there's no way to show for consideration. You have to get up and make moves. You might have to drive a car. You might get in an accident. You might kill somebody on the road. But if you don't have a gift for somebody's birthday, then they're gonna think you are don't appreciate them or something like that. Even if they can't even think like that because it's a kid or something, somebody's telling you that you need to show that sort of consideration. Don't come without a gift. So rush around the last minute to make sure you get over to Toys R Us. But I'm back in this in a blapper. I mean, what do they call it? A car crash. Get in a I don't know. I thought that sounded right. No, it doesn't. Because in order to have a consideration, you can't just be in meditation. You can't just be in, you have to make moves for a consideration. Do you want to show that you're really consideration, then you must be afraid for Ukraine. It's not because you have a personality that doesn't thrive in low stress situations, and it's not because you're trying to, you know what I mean? It's because you're actually afraid for the Ukraine that's why you're going over there. And keep in mind, right? Putin is wrong, okay? But is that our concern? If Putin took over and wanted to keep pushing through Europe, is that still, it sucks. Is it our concern still? Because the people that want to fight over that are the ones that started this already. Before you can even say, are they the ones that want to prolong it? They fucking started it. So we're attributing ignorance to that where malice is and giving them help. We're giving them their energy. If you want to judge mankind as a whole, sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll judge the individual based on their character. And then sometimes I judge mankind as a single entity. It's like I'm an alien. That's what the aliens would do. That's what the Koreans say again and again. No, I'm just playing. David Lieberhart is crazy. He has a different way of being funny. You should check him out. It's the way that he tells a joke or something is a different way. Like the joke is in his attitude or something like that. You don't even know he told a joke, but he's being funny. Because he's like, how it's just like so unpredictable, and how are you gonna continue this method acting or whatever is like this type of comic relief? Like, how are you gonna prolong this shit? And you come up with, and that's the whole thing. It's about the ways they shamelessly just prolong this persona that had to be steeped in the culture that he's doing satire about, right? You know, like, satire is very contentious right now. The definition of satire is being held up in FCC courts. You might not be able to satirize right now because it's not clear what satire means and whether or not it's incitement or something like this. The FCC is looking it over. And they're gonna get back. It's gonna be tied up in there forever until they decide, fuck it. whatever America was, we're not doing it. Fuck it. It could be that it was just a bakery, but they didn't want to make cakes and pies anymore. But basically, deal's off. We're not doing it. Fuck it. And I'm speaking for everybody too, and it's not even because I can know how to speak for myself anymore, but just because I want to speak for everybody else. We're not doing it anymore. We're not doing America anymore. Fuck it. It's one thing to be kind of like affected by what it means to be an American. You can be affected by it. Maybe some of that shit is traumatic. There's a lot of trauma. And impersonation steeped in our history and all kind of shit, like taking other people's, wealth, killing them to take it. You never know who's really represents the people that it was before. It could be somebody moved in on them. Like the Catholics moved in on the Illuminati there was a Cagoline church, and it didn't mean coward before, but it still left an impression in Hispaniola, and they have a word called Kegel. Not Kegel exercises, but Kogel. Like Kogel means coward who shits his pants and runs away. So they maligned and smeared and demeaned or dehumanized them. Then they went and wiped them out, and then later on they had to impersonate them to move in on their land, right? To take their estate. And they were an Illuminati section of Christianity. But that doesn't mean that the Calgoline denomination today is a bunch of frauds either. It means at some point in time they were wiped out. So how is there still a Calgoline church if they were wiped out? It's the Catholics. You know what I mean? They it's like you can't look up Nexium. You'll get a pharmaceutical that says Nexium. You say ask your doctor if Nexium is right for you. You know what I mean? That's done for a reason. That's done for a reason. So it's like maybe more powerful when they don't even know that they're a stand-in Illuminati section. You know, you think the Hells Angels would be interested in being the muscle of the Vatican, right? Like, oh, you're some Christians, you're some good Christian boys. You know what I mean? That doesn't sound very Hell's Angel. But what would the Vatican need? And it's and muscle in their muscle, the wing of muscle in the West, to be wholesome as a farm boy, right? So then you're a proper Hell's Angel, a proper Hell's Angel. You know what I mean? Then I can believe I know what your bottom rocker and means, and I know all this like this and that means, and hypothetically if I was in all that, you know. So it wouldn't be no like that would be water off a duck's back. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, don't you know you're the muscle, the wing, you're the thug of the Vatican. But that one Hell's Angel might be a good dude. Like, why are you bothering them? You know, and then they'll tell you, it's the clean cut ones that you got to look out for, right? Like the ones with oil on their fingers and shit like that. Those are the factory workers. Those are, you know what I mean? It's the clean cut. That's the one that's into the narcotics and the moving guns and all this shit like that. And if you tell them, then they know already and they don't care. They know and they don't care. So you would tell one where it doesn't apply that they should feel bad about their culture when it doesn't apply. But then the one that it does apply to, they know already, and you telling them and it doesn't care. Like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever.